Hare Krishna, my dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the Haven, which is located in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English Channel. We greet you with affection and hope that you are all well and safe and happy in these greatly disturbed times we're living in. On this auspicious day of Guru Purnima, which is the disappearance day of Sanatana Goswami, and the day we worship Vyasadeva, the original Guru. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami glorifies the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which we're reading now. It goes like this. Sarva Shastabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, Sarva Lokaika Drik Prada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Purāṇa, Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho, Kalidvandoditaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun, risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours on a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Man Mahadana, Man Nistadaka Mad Bhagya, Mad Anandana Mostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu, sadhu tadayin, atini chuchatakada, hanamunchakadachin mam, premna rit kantayukspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please, never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'd like to offer a warm welcome to Jam Kishore Prabhu, Hare Krishna. He's joined us. He's our old servant and dear one, Hare Krishna. Okay, we reached the 24th chapter of the third canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Kardama Muni is renouncing. And we're starting with text 27. Kardama Muni said, "Oh, after a long time, the demigods of this universe have become pleased with the suffering souls who are in material entanglement because of their own misdeeds." Purport. This material world is a place for suffering, which is due to the misdeeds of the inhabitants, the conditioned souls themselves. The sufferings are not extraneously imposed upon them. Rather, the conditioned souls create their own suffering by their own acts. In the forest, fire takes place automatically. It is not that someone has to go there and set a fire. Because of friction among various trees, fire occurs automatically. When there is too much heat from the forest fire of this material world, the demigods, including Brahma himself, being harassed, approach the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and appeal to him to alleviate the condition. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends. In other words, when the demigods become distressed by the sufferings of the conditioned souls, they approach the Lord to remedy the suffering, and the Personality of Godhead descends. When the Lord descends, all the demigods become enlivened. Therefore, Kardama Muni said, after many, many years of human suffering, all the demigods are now satisfied, because Kapila-dev, the incarnation of Godhead, has appeared. Text 28. After many births, mature yogis, by complete trance and yoga, endeavor in secluded places to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Some important things are mentioned here about yoga. The word Bahu Janma Vipakvena means after many, many births of mature yoga practice. And another word, Samyak Yoga Samadhina, means by complete practice of the yoga system. Complete practice of yoga means bhakti yoga. Unless one comes to the point of bhakti yoga, or surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's yoga practice is not complete. This same point is corroborated in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After many, many births, the jnani who has matured in transcendental knowledge surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kardama Muni repeats the same statement. After many, many years and many, many births of complete practice of yoga, one can see the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in a secluded place. It is not that after one practices some sitting postures, he immediately becomes perfect. One has to perform yoga a long time, many, many births, to become mature. And a yogi has to practice in a secluded place. One cannot practice yoga in a city or a public park and declare that he has become God simply by some exchange of dollars. This is all bogus propaganda. Those who are actually yogis practice in a secluded place, and after many, many births, they become successful, provided they surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the completion of yoga. Text 29. Not considering the negligence of ordinary householders like us, that very same Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in our homes just to support his devotees. Purport. Devotees are so affectionate toward the Personality of Godhead that although he does not appear before those who practice yoga in a secluded place for even for many, many births, he agrees to appear in a householder's home where devotees engage in devotional service without material yoga practice. In other words, devotional service to the Lord is so easy that even a householder can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one of the members of his household, as his son, as Kardama Muni experienced. He was a householder, although a yogi, but he had the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Muni, as his son. Devotional service is such a powerful, transcendental method that it surpasses all other methods of transcendental realization. The Lord says, therefore, that he lives neither in Vaikuntha nor in the heart of a yogi, but he lives where his pure devotees are always chanting and glorifying him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhakta Vatsala. He is never described as Jnani Vatsala or Yogi Vatsala. He is always described as Bhakta Vatsala because he is more inclined toward his devotees than toward other transcendentalists. In Bhagavad Gita it is confirmed that only a devotee can understand him as he is. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. One can understand me only by devotional service, not otherwise. That understanding alone is real, because although jnanis, mental speculators, can realize only the effulgence or the bodily luster of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the yogis can realize only the partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a bhakta not only realizes him as he is, but also associates with the Personality of Godhead face to face. Text 30. Kardama Muni said, "You, my Lord, you, my dear Lord, who are always increasing the honor of your devotees, have descended in my home just to fulfill your word and disseminate the process of real knowledge." Purport. When the Lord appeared before Kardama Muni after his mature yoga practice, he promised that he would become Kardama's son. He descended as the son of Kardama Muni in order to fulfill that promise. Another purpose of his appearance is Chikirshur Bhagavan Jnanam, to distribute knowledge. Therefore he is called Bhaktanam Mana Vardhana, he who increases the honor of his devotees. By distributing Sankhya, he would increase the honor of the devotees. Therefore, Sankhya philosophy is not dry mental speculation. Sankhya philosophy means devotional service. How could the honor of the devotees be increased unless Sankhya were meant for devotional service? Devotees are not interested in speculative knowledge. Therefore, the Sankhya enunciated by Kapila Muni is meant to establish one firmly in devotional service. Real knowledge and real liberation is to surrender under the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 31. My dear Lord, although you have no material form, you have your own innumerable forms. They truly are your transcendental forms, which are pleasing to your devotees. Purport. In Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord is one absolute, but he has ananta, or innumerable forms. Advaitam achyutam anadim ananta rupam. The Lord is the original form, but still he has multi-forms. Those multi-forms are manifested by him transcendentally, according to the tastes of his multi-devotees. It is understood that once Hanuman the great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, said that he knew that Narayana, the husband of Lakshmi, and Rama, the husband of Sita, are one and the same, and that there is no difference between Lakshmi and Sita. But as for himself, he liked the form of Sri Rama. In a similar way, some devotees worship the original form of Krishna. When we say Krishna, we refer to all forms of the Lord, not only Krishna, but Rama, Nishinga, Varaha, Narayana, and so on. The varieties of transcendental forms exist simultaneously. That is also stated in the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Murtishu, Nanavataram. Ramadi Murtishu, Nanavataram. He already exists in multi-forms, but none of the forms are material. Sridhar Swami has commented that arupina, without form, means without material form. The Lord has form, otherwise how can it be stated here? Tanyeva te birupani, rupani, bhagavang stava. You have your forms, but they are not material. Materially you have no form, but spiritually, transcendentally, you have multi-forms. Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand these transcendental forms of the Lord, and being disappointed, they say that the Supreme Lord is impersonal. But that is not a fact. Whenever there is a form, there is a person. Many times in many Vedic literatures, the Lord is described as Purusha, which means the original form, the original enjoyer. The conclusion is that the Lord has no material form, and yet, according to the liking of different grades of devotees, he simultaneously exists in multi-forms, such as Rama, Nishinga, Varaha, Narayana, and Mukunda. There are many thousands and thousands of forms, but they are all Vishnu Tattva, Krishna. Text 32. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the reservoir of that always deserves to receive worshipful homage from all great sages, eager to understand the absolute truth. You are full in opulence, renunciation, transcendental fame, knowledge, strength, and beauty, and therefore I surrender myself unto your lotus feet. Purport. Actually, those who are searching after the absolute truth must take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worship Him. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advised Arjuna many times to surrender unto Him, especially at the end of the 9th chapter, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakta. If you want to be perfect, just always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your obeisances to me. In this way you will understand me, the personality of Godhead, and ultimately you will come back to me, back home, back to Godhead, back home. Why is it so? The Lord is always full in 6 opulences, as mentioned herein: wealth, renunciation, fame, knowledge, strength, and beauty. The word purtam means in full. No one can claim that all wealth belongs to him, but Krishna can claim it, since he has full wealth. Similarly, he is full in knowledge, renunciation, strength, and beauty. He is full in everything, and no one can surpass him. Another one of Krishna's names is Asamordva, which means that no one is equal to or greater than him. Text 33. I surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descended in the form of Kapila, who is independently powerful and transcendental, who is the Supreme Person and the Lord of the sum total of matter and the element of time, who is the fully cognizant maintainer of all the universes under the three modes of material nature, and who absorbs the material manifestations after their dissolution. Purport. The six opulences, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, are indicated here by Kardama Muni, who addresses Kapila Muni, his son, as Param. The word Param is used in the beginning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in the phrase Param Satyam to refer to the Summum Bonum, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param is explained further by the next word, Pradhanam, which means the chief, the origin, the source of everything. Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not formless. He is Purusham, or the enjoyer, the original person. He is the time element, and he is all cognizant. He knows everything, past, present, and future, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says, I know everything, present, past, and future, in every corner of the universe. The material world, which is moving under the spell of the three modes of nature, is also a manifestation of his energy. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. Everything that we see is an interaction of his energies. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8. Parasya Brahmanak Shaktis Tateidam Akilam Jagat. This is the version of the Vishnu Purāṇa. We can understand that whatever we see is an interaction of the three modes of material nature, but actually it is all an interaction of the Lord's energy, Lokapalam. He is actually the maintainer of all living entities, Nityo Nityanam. He is the chief of all living entities. He is one, but he maintains many, many living entities. God maintains all other living entities, but no one can maintain God. That is his Swachanda Shakti. Swachanda Shakti. He is not dependent on others. Someone may call himself independent, but he is still dependent on someone higher. The personality of Godhead, however, is absolute. There is no one higher. There is no one higher than nor equal to him. Kapila Muni appeared as the son of Kardama Muni, but because Kapila is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kardama Muni offered respectful obeisances unto him with full surrender. Could we? Another word in this verse is very important. Atma nubhutya nugata prapancham. The Lord descends either as Kapila or Rama, Nishinga, or Varaha, and whatever forms he assumes in the material world are all manifestations of his own personal internal energy. They are never forms of the material energy. The ordinary living entities who are manifested in this material world have bodies created by the material energy. But when Krishna, or any one of his expansions, or parts of the expansions, descends to this material world, although he appears to have a material body, his body is not material. He always has a transcendental body, but fools and rascals, who are called mudhas, consider him one of them, and therefore they deride him. They refuse to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they cannot understand him. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Avajananti mam mudha. Those who are rascals and fools deride me. When God descends in a form, this does not mean that he assumes his form with the help of the material energy. He manifests his spiritual form as he exists in his spiritual kingdom. Text 34. Today I have something to ask from you, who are the Lord of all living entities. Since I have now been liberated by you from my debts to my Father, and since all my desires are fulfilled, I wish to accept the order of an itinerant mendicant. Renouncing this family life, I wish to wander about, free from lamentation, thinking always of you in my heart. Purport. Actually, sannyas, or renunciation of material household life, necessitates complete absorption in Krishna consciousness, and immersion in the self. One does not take sannyas, freedom from family responsibility, in the renounced order of life, to make another family, or to create an embarrassing transcendental fraud in the name of sannyas. The sannyasi's business is not to become proprietor of so many things and amass money from the innocent public. A sannyasi is proud that he is always thinking of Krishna within himself. Of course, there are two kinds of devotees of the Lord. One is called Gosthyanandi, which means those who are preachers and have many followers for preaching the glories of the Lord, and who live among those many, many followers just to organize missionary activities. Other devotees are Atmanandi, or self-satisfied, and do not take the risk of preaching work. They remain, therefore, alone with God. In this classification was Kardama Muni. He wanted to be free from all anxieties and remain alone within his heart with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parivraja means an itinerant mendicant. A mendicant sannyasi should not live anywhere for more than 3 days. He must be always moving, because his duty is to move from door to door and enlighten people about Krishna consciousness, or street to street. Text 35. The personality of Godhead, Kapila, said, whatever I speak, whether directly or in the scriptures, is authoritative in all respects for the people of the world. O Muni, because I told you before that I would become your son, I have descended to fulfill this truth. Purport. Kardama Muni was to leave his family life, to completely engage in the service of the Lord. But since he knew that the Lord himself, as Kapila, had taken birth in his home as his own son, why was he preparing to leave home to search out self-realization or God realization? God himself was present in his home. Why should he leave home? Such a question may certainly arise. But here it is said that whatever is spoken in the Vedas and whatever is practiced in accordance with the injunctions of the Vedas is to be accepted as authoritative in society. Vedic authority says that a householder must leave home after his 50th year. Panchashordvam vanam brajet. One must leave his family life and enter the forest after the age of 50. This is an authoritative statement of the Vedas, based on the division of social life into 4 departments of activity: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Kardama Muni practiced yoga very rigidly as a brahmachari before his marriage, and he became so powerful and attained so much mystic power that his father, Brahma, ordered him to marry and beget children as a householder. Kardama did that also. He begot 9 good daughters and 1 son, Kapila Muni, and thus his householder duty was also performed nicely. And now his duty was to leave. Even though he had the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son, he had to respect the authority of the Vedas. This is a very important lesson. Even if one has God in his home as his son, he should still follow the Vedic injunctions. It is stated, Mahajano yenagata sapanta. One should traverse the path which is followed by great personalities. Kardama Muni's example is very instructive, for in spite of having the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son, he left home just to obey the authority of the Vedic injunction. Kardama Muni states here the main purpose of his leaving home. While traveling all over the world as a mendicant, he would always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and thereby be freed from all the anxieties of material existence. In this age of Kali Yuga, sannyas is prohibited because persons in this age are all Shudras and cannot follow the rules and regulations of sannyas life. It is very commonly found that so-called sannyasis are addicted to nonsense, even to having private relationships with women. This is the abominable situation in this age. Although they dress themselves as sannyasis, they still cannot free themselves from the 4 principles of sinful life, namely illicit sex life, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. Since they are not freed from these 4 principles, they are cheating the public by posing as swamis. In Kali Yuga, the injunction is that no one should accept sannyas. Of course, those who actually follow the rules and regulations must take sannyas. Generally, however, people are unable to accept sannyas life, and therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stressed, Kalo, nastyeva, 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 gatir anyata. In this age, there is no other alternative, no other alternative, no other alternative than to chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. The main purpose of sannyas life is to be constant. The main purpose of sannyas life is to be in constant companionship with the Supreme Lord, either by thinking of Him within the heart or hearing of Him through oral reception. In this age, hearing is more important than thinking. Shall I repeat that? Shall I repeat that?
Yes, please.
Okay. In this age, hearing is more important than thinking, because one's thinking may be disturbed by mental agitation. But if one concentrates on hearing, he will be forced to associate with the sound vibration of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna and the sound vibration, Krishna, are non-different. So if one loudly vibrates, Hare Krishna, he will be able to think of Krishna immediately. This process of chanting is the best process of self-realization in this age. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya preached it so nicely for the benefit of all humanity. Text 36. My appearance in this world is especially to explain the philosophy of Sankhya, which is highly esteemed for self-realization by those desiring freedom from the entanglement of unnecessary material desires. Purport. Here the word durashayat is very significant. Dura refers to trouble or dukkha, miseries. Ashayat means from the shelter. We conditioned souls have taken shelter of the material body, which is full of troubles and miseries. Foolish people cannot understand the situation, and this is called ignorance, illusion, or the spell of Maya. Human society should very seriously understand that the body itself is the source of all miserable life. Modern civilization is supposed to be making advancement in scientific knowledge. But what is this scientific knowledge? It is based on bodily comforts only, without knowledge that however comfortably one maintains his body, the body is destructible. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Antavanta ime deha, these bodies are destined to be destroyed. Nityasyokta shiririna refers to the living soul, or the living spark within the body. That soul is eternal, but the body is not eternal. For our activity, we must have a body. Without a body, without sense organs, there is no activity. But people are not inquiring whether it is possible to have an eternal body. Actually, they aspire for an eternal body because even though they engage in sense enjoyment, that sense enjoyment is not eternal. They are therefore in want of something which they can enjoy eternally. But they do not understand how to attain that perfection. Sankhya philosophy, therefore, as stated herein by Kapila Dev, is tatvanam. The Sankhya philosophy system is designed to afford understanding of the real truth. What is that real truth? The real truth is knowledge of how to get out of the material body, which is the source of all trouble. Lord Kapila's incarnation or descent is especially meant for this purpose. That is clearly stated here. And that brings us to 7:54. We started a little early today. We will stop here of our reading, and tomorrow we'll take up the task again at text 37. And now we will wait for the reflections of the assembled sages. Hare Krishna.
Is this from Gopakanya Devi Dasi?
Yes, Gopakanya Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all assembled sages. Happy Guru Vas Purnima, disappearance day of Sri Sanatan Goswami and Sri Gurudev Bhakti Choru Swami Maharaj. Jai Srila Prabhupada and his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with his matchless commentaries.
Hare Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Purports Ki Jai.
Sudevi says Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Sudevi Dasi. Hare Boy, we hope everything's all right over there in Florida. What time is it over there in Florida? 6, 5 hours.
And from Bhakta Christopher.
Yes, Bhakta Christopher.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai. All glories to
Srila
Srila Prabhupada. Haribo, Haribo.
Rati Manjari says Jai Guru Maharaj.
Hey Rati, Hare Krishna.
And from Anandamurti, Devi Dasi.
Yes, Anandamurti.
Dear Guru Maharaj and all assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much for reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam today.
Well, all I can say is the pleasure is always mine. This is so much fun to read the Bhagavatam every night. It's our life and soul, and it's what we live for, and it's all that means everything. Hare Krishna.
Okay, and this is from Vrajendra Sutta from Holland.
Vrajendra Sutta from Holland. Hare Krishna, welcome.
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I have compiled a book on samskara, yet I do not know whether this title is grammatically correct. Please tell me which title of my book is grammatically correct. 1. Vedic Farewell Service for the Soul, or 2. Vedic Farewell Service to the Soul, or 3. Vedic Farewell Service to Soul. Please correct me.
Well, you know, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, so I can't correct you. I highly recommend that you send a message to Dravida. He can correct you. But thanks for asking. Hare Krishna.
And from Bhakta Christopher.
Yes, Bhakta Christopher.
Hare Krishna. Is there a way for a yogi to remember their past lives? I had a man that called himself Sadguru say that he could remember his past lives. Thank you.
Well, I suppose that there are some yogis who can remember their past lives, but why would they? Why would you want to remember what brought us into this material world again, to suffer? Life in the material world, as we just heard it, from the Bhagavatam itself and from Prabhupada's purports, means you have a material body made of the material energy, and it's a source of suffering. So why should I want to remember the source of suffering? Therefore, the real yogi, as Krishna says in the Gita, yoginam apisarvesham madgatenantaratmana. The real yogi is completely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Trying to remember your past lives is a waste of time, a waste of human energy. And it is not recommended in any shastra, in any scripture that I've read anyway. Hare Krishna.
And next is from Bhaktin Maxine.
Bhaktin Maxine, Hare Krishna. Haven't heard from you for quite a while.
Hare Krishna, dearest Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai, all glories to Prabhupada.
I feel disillusioned due to envy. I don't know if it's my own mental speculation or Maya. It's not me that has envy, but someone close. Should I ignore this behavior? Could you help?
Yes, I recommend highly that you read very carefully the last 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The last 8 verses, along with their purports, of the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is. There Srila Prabhupada elaborates on how one should please Krishna. And in there, please read it carefully and study it, but in there it says that a devotee never becomes the enemy of his enemy. Because if you become the enemy of your enemy, you become on the same platform as your enemy, and that just increases your own suffering. The solution to all problems is to think of Krishna. And there's so many nice ways to think of Krishna. So many lovely pastimes of Krishna. Such deep philosophy in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And adventurous and exciting stories of all the different incarnations of Krishna. What to speak of Krishna's pastimes themselves. So I would highly recommend that you don't envy someone who envies you. Forgive them and move on and think of Krishna with love, with the feeling of separation. That is the path leading back to Godhead and eternal life, where we don't have to confront envy either within ourselves or with others, eternally. Finished. Hare Krishna.
From Subbarao Rajagopal.
Yes, Subbarao.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you for your daily reading service. In the verse 3:24-29, Kapil Dev says, quote, not considering the negligence of ordinary householders like us, that very same Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in our homes just to support his devotees. Unquote. 2 things came to mind. What a great humility Kardama Muni has in spite of the Lord personally appearing, and yogic prowess that he could build a celestial palace.
Knowledge begins with humility. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verses 8 to 12. Knowledge begins with humility. Without humility, you can't be knowledgeable. Because knowledge, all knowledge, is received through the ear by submissive oral reception. Everyone receives knowledge in that way from the beginning of their lives. So how does that work? You have to submit to the sound, submit to the instruction. Therefore, the basic tenets of the Vedic scriptures teach how to be respectful to authority. And if you're respectful to authority and hear from them, those who know better than you do, those who know more than you do, submissively, then you get the good will of those authorities. And you can easily understand. Hare Krishna.
From Christopher.
Yes, Bhakti Christopher.
Thank you for your answer. I have been thinking that trying to remember your past lives is a waste of time. Krishna is great. The more I attend these readings, the more I want to know about Krishna. All glories to your wonderful readings.
Wow, thank you very much. That was the biggest compliment I've ever had. Hare Krishna.
And from Maxine.
This is what it means. This is what what Prabhupada was talking about in the purport, and Kapila Muni was talking about. This is a way to become free from material miseries. Just submit to the process. We have to take the process. Even more than hearing, although hearing is more important than thinking, as we heard, still we have to hear and apply, and that's what that submissive hearing does. Prabhupada used to say, hearing means doing. Hearing means doing. If you hear how we should be, and you practice acting like that and being like that, then you are hearing with submission. And the Lord from within the heart gives you the intelligence how to fix yourself in the proper behavior and the proper conceptions, proper mentality. Hare Krishna.
From Maxine.
Yes, Maxine.
Thank you for your very helpful words and your wonderful reading. I am most grateful.
Hare Krishna. I'm just repeating what Srila Prabhupada told me. That's all. No credit to me. All credit to Srila Prabhupada.
From Jagamohan.
Yes, Jagamohan. Haven't heard you from you for a long time, too.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj and dear devotees, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I very much appreciate how Prabhupada explains that hearing is most important and the oscillations of our mind is not so important.
Yes.
It makes me reflect on how His Grace, Srila Bhakti Vinod, the remedy for all hankering is to chant anyway. Chant anyway, chant anyway.
Yeah, yes, correct.
No matter the condition of our mind, chant anyway.
Yes.
I'm forced to apply this first thing every morning when my mind vigorously protests the idea of chanting. Thank you for your continued service to our dear Srila Prabhupada. Jai Ho.
Jai Ho. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to His divine grace.
One more from Subara.
Yes, Subara.
Thank you for connecting the humility to submissive oral reception. Daily readings Ki Jai, which keeps us on the track of listening and hearing.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. As usual, I thank all of you for your wonderful reflections and discussion, questions. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place. Same topic. And now, Devahuti is going to inquire from Kapila Dev. And he's going to instruct her. And we're going to get the benefit. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.